violence. In this element, we will be discussing the hazards and the effects related to the violence at the workplaces and how we can control these type of hazards and effects related to the violence at our workplaces by applying different approaches and by applying hierarchy of control. So now we will be discussing the work-related violence issues at the workplaces. So what is work-related violence? Work-related violence is any incident in which a person is abused, threatened, or assaulted in circumstances relating to their work. So what are the occupations which are more exposed to the violence? These are cash handling, loan working activities, and if you are representing any type of authority or any type of government authority, you are also exposed to more violence. Wearing a uniform of any kind of armed forces, dealing with people under stress, then you will be more exposed to the violence. And second last is dealing with people under the influence of drugs or alcohol, because people who consume drugs and alcohol, they don't remain in their senses, and if they don't remain in their senses, they can even hit you and they can even beat you, so you will be more exposed to the violence. And in last, censuring or saying no. This is a common dilemma and common phenomena in our work life, that if we will say no to anyone, that person will automatically and the person will naturally get annoyed due to our no, and as a result of that they can be angry, and there is a chances of fight or any kind of violence related situation. So now we will be discussing the occupation which are more prone and more exposed to the violence. These are hospital, accident and emergency staff, police staff, social workers, bus and taxi drivers, firefighters and paramedics, traffic wardens, railway staff, teachers. These all occupations need to deal with different type of people in their daily life. So that's why they are more exposed and more prone to the violence related hazards. So what are the control measures for the violence? We can collect and analyze incident reports. We can introduce staff formally or informally, and as a result of those surveys and result of those staff surveys, we will be able to understand the causes of the violence, and by understanding the causes of the violence, we can decide the control measures for the violence. So now we will discuss the control measure for violence in detail, that how we can adopt the approaches for the control measures of the violence. We can make zero tolerance policies. We can recruit security staff for catering the violence situation. We can install CCTVs in our location at our workplace. We can install security doors. We can minimize queues and waiting times by displaying waiting times. We can give training and awareness to our employees with regards to the violence. We can also install panic alarm at our workstation, so if any kind of violence related situation occurred, easily anyone can activate those panic alarm. And in the end, we can create pleasant environment. This is a most appropriate option. If there is a pleasant environment at your workplace, then you are very much less prone and exposed to the violence related risk. So the other approach which we can use for reducing the violence at the workplaces, we can stop working in high risk area where there is more risk of violence. We can analyze previous incident records of violence. We can vet the customers, and we can know the personalities of those customers whom we are dealing with, and by judging their personality and analyzing their personality, we will be able to know that if the risk of violence is high or low. We can easily give training and awareness to the employees and customer with regards to the violence. We can also introduce the system of GPS to track where our employee is and where he is not, and if he is stuck at one location for more than 1 hour or 2 hours, we will be able to know that maybe he is exposed to any kind of violence. We need to limit the visits after dark, because in dark there is a more risk of violence, more risk of theft, more risk of violence, and more risk of any uncomfortable situation. And we should also give awareness to our employees of not carrying any kind of cash or valuables while they are going to any kind of high risk area, and while they are going any kind of place or visiting any kind of place after the dark.